Hello, this is the Pursuit of Anime. You are joined here by myself, Raven, and Teddy.
Hello.
We are anime fans who are also philosophy fans and big thinkers, and we love talking a mix of anime and philosophy on this channel. And today we're here to talk about how to deal with not fitting in. It's something that I've been thinking about myself for quite a while. I found myself in a lot of situations in my life just surrounded by people, and especially when I was younger, I used to think of myself as an introvert. Nowadays I consider myself more of an extrovert. But even as I enter my more extroverted season in life, I still have this feeling sometimes of these people around me when I'm in the midst of certain groups. These people around me, I just don't fit in. Even if we get along, I just don't fit in with these people. Do you kind of ever feel that way, Teddy?
Yeah, I don't let it um affect me too much because you have to understand I live in a place where, and I don't mean this in any type of way, I'm just stating the facts. I'm living in a place that's predominantly white and I'm black.
Oh,
So I stand out like a sore thumb a lot of time, you know. Like I
no
go
way.
to shops and stuff like that where you just notice me very quickly because I'll be the only one with a crazy 10 game when everybody around me looks pale as hell in comparison, right? So I
Yeah,
always stand out, but the good thing is I've been blessed enough to live in an environment where people don't highlight that or they don't emphasize that too much. So it's made my life a lot easier. It's helped me feel a lot less self-conscious about the fact that I'm different from everybody else around me, you know. But
yeah,
it is something though that I, because I understand that, I there's a term for it that is escaping me right now, but I'll remember eventually. But what they call it, code switching. I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
Where basically I'm a certain way normally, but then I understand that when I'm in a different environment, I need to adjust to that environment, and that's what I do on a daily basis. So I know what I say because the way I am naturally, these people they don't understand, and I don't mean that in any type of way. That's just the reality, right? It's certain way that we express ourselves or certain emotions that we feel, certain experiences that we can relate to that they can't relate to because they don't have the same experience as we
yeah,
do. So it's something that I always keep in mind when I interact with people around me because I understand. Okay, well, I can't say certain things certain ways because if I say it, they'd be like, "Huh? What do you mean by that?" It's like, for example, when I'm with my boys, they'd be like, "Yeah, man, like, no cap, this thing was crazy." The environments that I'm in, I can't say that. Maybe one or two people will understand what that means, but the majority will be like, "What do you mean no cap? What is that? What is that? What is cap?" And I don't, like, I don't want to have to explain that, and then it goes to the whole thing. So I'm like, no, listen, it's okay. You
yeah,
know, I'll just use the regular vernacular to communicate with you, and hopefully you understand. So yeah,
yeah, for sure. I definitely experience that a lot in life where like the way I speak definitely depends on who I'm talking to. Definitely like especially in New York where I grew up, you kind of talk to people from all around the world. And so you just basically talk to people. I There was a paper I read recently, not recently, it was when I was still in college, and they were talking about how like I think it was an Asian writer, and they were talking about Obama. They were talking about a lot of things, but one of the main points of that paper was talking about how she would often talk to um to her mother, who was like an old Asian woman, with like basically the stereotypical like kind of whatever like kind of a Chinese accent, like Chinese American accent, like
hmm
immigrant accent.
yeah,
And she would she would speak to her mother who immigrated to America like that. But obviously, she was being born in America, and gone to a good university. She speaks like normally with her friends and everything, a very like quote unquote polished or quote unquote proper English, and she got interested in whatever you would call it, the linguist, you know this this aspect of the English language that we seem to share all around. You'll find that if you typically in conversation tend to say you all or you guys, when you're talking normally,
Yeah,
if you meet somebody from the South and you spend enough time with them for maybe a week or two, you're going to start finding yourself saying y'all a lot, you know?
that's
Just
true.
because you're going to pick it up from them and they may pick up some certain things, that some certain lingo that you have. So it seems to be a positive thing. I think it's a very positive thing. I think it's a beautiful thing, being able to share people's cultures and kind of I guess fit in like a piece of a puzzle with these different people from a completely different region. And I think that this desire to fit in is is basically one of the roots of humanity. It's something that we all have within us. We all have kind of this inherent will to fit in, or this inherent desire to fit in. Now the idea of whether it's a good or a bad thing, um I guess kind of depends on your experience and depends on you. And I feel like a lot of people have a negative connotation with fitting in and have a negative experience, because the thing is, when you fit in, the more you like add yourself to a group. And I think we've talked about this before when we talk about labels, right? the
Hmm.
more you the more you like basically enter this blob, enter this like homogenous, like unison, this jelly of of like community, the more the identity starts to vanish from you, is the way I feel. So like when you try to fit in, oftentimes you'll see, and this is depicted in movies a lot, in order to fit in, the nerd, the bookworm who loves studying and everything, and they have a passion for like whatever rocket science, right?
Hmm.
They have to give that up and become somebody that they're not in order to appease the public eye, to appease the people that they want to fit in with and be accepted by.
Yeah, I feel like it's rougher when you have, because most of the examples we talk about, it's just like it's certain aspects of our personalities or who we are as individuals that kind of make you stand out, make you feel different from the rest. But I feel like it's a different conversation when it's something that is like damn near an anomaly and something that you can't do anything about, but you have to still find a way to function within society. I feel like that's when it can get really challenging for your psyche. Because I'm thinking, and I think we had this conversation in the past, where my perspective on certain mental disorders completely changed after I watched the recent Joker movie. Apparently, they're coming out with the second one this year, or maybe next year. I don't know. I heard there's a trailer that's going to be
Yeah,
released,
that's a
and
musical or something.
is it a musical?
Yeah, it's gonna have
Wow,
Lady Gaga in it, I
I
think.
saw the poster with Lady Gaga. That poster was raw, uh, but I don't know what to expect. I saw some of the comments are like, "Please don't make it a musical," and I was like, where did you get that information?" So I don't know. It could work. It could work. I don't want to knock it just yet, but I feel like that's not necessarily the image of the Joker. But that's a different conversation. That's besides the point. Basically, though, that the first movie where he came to that conclusion of, people expect you to behave like a normal person even when you have a bacterial condition. There's a way that he put it that just hit me so deep, and I realized that applies to a lot of people in many ways, where they're wired a certain way where they can help how they are, but they're expected, right? It's like an unspoken expectation for society to fit in, and that can be so rough. And when you take it to the realm of anime, for example, I think of like Naruto, for example, having the nine-tailed beast inside of him and growing up in his village.
Yeah.
He was ostracized. He was shunned. Right. An outcast. Because everybody was thinking, oh, he's the reincarnation of the ninth bear, and that, that goes to speak also about people's levels of ignorance, where they don't know, they just make assumptions based of rumors and hearsay. But in that situation, I felt so, because mind you, I watched Naruto as a kid. Like, I was much younger when I first got introduced to the story, and there was something so deeply saddening about how he was just isolated most of the time. Like that scene on the swing, I feel like it's engraved in my memory
Me
against my
too.
will. Because how many times they've shoved that imagery in our faces, I don't even know. But it was it was heartbreaking seeing him be like that, and nobody wanted to talk to him or have anything to do with him because they're like, "You are a demon, and we don't
Yeah.
like you." It's like, first of all, he didn't choose to have the 90th be sealed inside of him. That's that's his dad's legacy, his mom and his dad's legacy. He had nothing to do with that. And then to find a way when everybody hates you, and I think that's part of the reason why his story is so inspirational, because he knew that he was hated, but he set out on this journey to gain everybody's respect and admiration in spite of that. He said, "Listen, I know you don't like me. I know you think I'm a demon, but I will show you who I really am, and you will end up loving me." And that's why, like, I sometimes I get so upset when people try to minimize or diminish the big three, and like Naruto, for example, because they reduce his goal to just him screaming, "I want to be Hokage." It's like, no, there is it's more than just the title. There's meaning behind achieving that, because it means that he would have gotten the acknowledgement and recognition of the people who used to hate him
Yep.
for what they thought he was. And I feel like it's, if you can identify with him in any way in terms of being ostracized for being a certain way that's different for everybody else, you can find a lot of inspiration in Naruto's story and try to gain everybody's respect and recognition for who you are.
Definitely. And that's the thing, like those the story of Naruto is really like really relatable because I know we all had those feelings when we were kids of like, oh yeah, I want to be like there's people we look up to, so we're like, I want to be, so and so great person. I want to be great like this person or that person.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have the feeling of like, man, I just don't really fit in, and sometimes you feel like a loser, sometimes you feel like you're not really going to make it, you're not really going to get anything done because I mean, you're you're nobody, and nobody really bats an eye to you. And I know myself growing up, seeing him on the swing, seeing like kind of those scenes where he felt outcast, like a shadow to society. That was all
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I really resonated with. And I think what you touched on with the big three being so relatable, and them not really getting the shine for it. A lot of people just like overlook them, and they just like, yeah, I mean, Naruto's just a story about like a guy trying to become Hokage. One Piece is just a story of a kid trying to become the Pirate King. Then Bleach is just a dude fighting some demons or whatever. And yeah, like that's the overarching like big plot like in basic terms. But already from the right off the bat, there's this theme of not fitting in. They each went through not fitting in their own specific way. I think that Ichigo and Naruto are obviously the most like outwardly like right in your face off the bat relatable, because there were so many times that Naruto was shunned by society, and you would see him just alone, which was relatable to a lot of people. But then on the other hand, you had Ichigo's kind of form of not fitting in, where he did have a lot of friends. He was a very popular dude, but at the same time, there was always something different about him. And even if he was in a crowded room and he was outwardly accepted by people, there was still something inside him that troubled him. And you see that, like, he would run to his room a lot and be conflicted by many things. And you obviously, as the story progresses a little bit, you find out that it's because of his depression. His mom dying, um, and that basically haunting him, and him basically not having any way to really do anything about it until Rukia comes along. You could see where that comes into play. Now, apart from that, in One Piece, you see Luffy, which is very underrated in this conversation, because the thing with Luffy is this: he never fit in from the get go with all these islands, right?
Hmm.
Whenever he went to these islands, people would their eyes would be bulging out, like, dude, what the hell is wrong with this dude saying he's going to be the Pirate King? He's talking all this nonsense. He's an absolute buffoon. But the thing with Luffy that's different compared to like Naruto and Ichigo, from the jump, from the get go, he was already able to like knock out Vita out. He was already able to like beat all like Don Krieg and all these fools. So while there were people there to tell him, dude, you're never going to amount to anything, you're just a scrub, Luffy from the get go, he had the strength to basically say, yeah, and what? Just take this punch to the face if you have anything to say against me, because it doesn't matter whether I or not I fit in with you guys. I am who I am, and you're just gonna have to accept it. And
Exactly.
that's one thing that I think is a necessary component to when you feel like you don't fit in. You have to find strength in something, like Luffy did, right? Like when, let's say you're in the workplace, right? And
Mhm.
everybody at the workplace, they basically they don't mess with you. They don't talk to you. You never get invited out to drink with the people after work or something, or you never get invited to the hangouts, and you just feel left out by them, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, one of the ways that you can combat that, because I know that can feel really really rough, you know, you have to find strength in something else. Find strength while they're out, drinking after work. You go work on yourself afterward. Go to the gym or something. Something as simple as that. Or if they don't want to talk to you at work, use that time at work to get even better at your job and excel in that job, and basically put yourself in. Don't want to say put yourself above them, because then it becomes like a toxic thing where you're just like antagonizing everyone. But put yourself in a great position where it doesn't matter whether anyone thinks you fit in or not. You're great, and your greatness has to be seen and acknowledged. If that makes sense, Teddy. We have nothing popping in, by the way. I don't know if you see
Eh,
the comments on your end, Teddy.
Oh, I can't. What's going on?
Nothing says I was thinking about something like this.
Oh,
Most movies,
nice.
most movies and shows have the main characters not fitting in put in. So most people do so it makes no sense. He says, I think it's because most people think they don't fit in, but in reality they do.
That's very possible. That's one way to look at it. But I really, it's funny what you said about Luffy, because I was just about to say that from the very beginning he never cared what other people thought of him, and that's why I felt like it was always interesting to see the uh, the dynamic between him and Ace, because Ace, he was somebody who was desperately looking for a place to fit in.
Yeah.
That was the story of his entire life. Meanwhile, Luffy was this bigger than life figure. His whole life, he's always dreaming big, thinking big, and he didn't care what people thought of his dreams. Like, yeah, you can laugh at my dream. I don't care. I know what I want to do with my life. So what you have to say about what I want to do in my life is absolutely irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
At a young age, he was like 6 or 7 when he figured that out for himself. So from the get go, right, Luffy was built different. That's why I always found it so funny that he looked up to somebody like Ace, because from the reader's perspective, we're looking at both of them and we're thinking, Luffy, as an individual, you are so much greater than he is. I mean, yeah, by the time they met up again in was it in Jaya? I forget where they met up again, but yes, Ace's resume as a pirate was much more extensive than Luffy's because he'd been out on the seas for longer, and he was flying under Whitebeard's flag. But off just from the simple fact that Luffy was his own man, was the captain of his own ship, I always thought like, yeah, Ace looks cool, but Luffy's that guy. If I'm putting bounties on those guys, I would probably have them around the same at the time, just because you have somebody who clearly has insane potential, insane drive. It's almost abnormal how driven this man Luffy is, and you have somebody who was desperately looking for somebody to call daddy, respectfully. So it's just
For
not the
real.
same. They're not built the same, and that's, I guess, one of the frustrating um, parts of Ace's character to me was that he he desperately wanted to fit in based on his feelings towards a man he never knew.
Yeah.
He just heard stories about him, and he decided that he was going to identify with that, because he would he would ask people like, what if that man had a son, what would you do? And the responses that people would give him would get to his head. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, but that's a hypothetical. They don't know that you are that man's kid, so you have a chance to be your own man and give the world, like, show the world who you are, not who the king of the pirates son is, but who you are.
Yeah.
And he never understood that until his death, where he was happy that he found the family and everything. I mean, I'm happy that he died with a smile on his face, but he was a very frustrating individual to me, because I felt like he made his life needlessly more problematic than it ever needed to be.
Yeah.
So
Oh shit, nothing's coming at you, Teddy. Nothing says I literally log in to get a video on One Piece filler episodes I could skip. Well, then again, nothing isn't the biggest One Piece fan. I think they mentioned they never watched One Piece. So, yeah, you got to get on that One Piece, man. I'm telling you, One Piece is great. And the thing about One Piece is that Teddy's talking about that really ties into this topic is there's so many characters. You don't even need the story to know this, right?
mhm.
Look at Doflamingo. Look at all these crazy looking characters. They look like fools, and they fit into the story. Like Doflamingo with that huge pink coat. He it's never mentioned. It's never addressed. Like nobody ever looked at him and there's never been a scene where somebody says, "Oh, look at that stupid pink coat. Like why is he wearing pink? It's so
Mhm.
weird." Nobody ever said anything about his appearance. Why? Because he's just unapologetically who he is.
It's a certain amount of confidence and swag that you carry yourself with, that you can really that can make people just not mess with you, right? And that's the same thing that Luffy has. There's a certain amount of poise and charisma that you have that's going to make people respect you no matter what you do, no, and no
Yeah.
matter what you are, right? So you can stand out in different ways. You can be very different. It's like, listen, I'm me. If you have a problem with that, well, I'm sorry, that sounds like a personal issue. That's not my issue, because I'm just doing me. and
Definitely.
and that's the thing, like, as long as you're not negatively impacting another person's life by being you, ain't nothing wrong with it. Just do
Yeah.
you. So that's why I always appreciate people that are able to do that, where they're like, I'm not coming at you any type of way, I'm just existing in my own space doing me. And if that's an issue to you, then hey, it is what it is. It's like this one guy that I work with, he's very particular. 'Cause I work at a restaurant, and he works in the dish pit, right? As a dishwasher.
Oh no.
You know what he does?
What?
Sometimes he prints out pictures of himself and he hangs them up in the dish pit.
What?
Yeah, sometimes he'll come to work. Mind you, it's nighttime and he's working with sunglasses on.
Oh my gosh.
He's a very particular individual, but you know what? He has a lot of poise and confidence in himself. So nobody ever questions it. They just let him do what he does.
Yeah.
Because the point is, as long as you can do your job and do it well, who cares what you wear to work? For the most part, of course, don't be indecent, right? Don't disturb people. But if you're good at what you do, don't really matter what you look like while doing it, right? So it's like he stands out
He stands
in
out. He makes
very
a
cool
statement.
ways, but you know he does what he does.
He
Oh,
makes a
nothing is
statement.
talking about the new fight.
Yeah, the new fights in One
The-
Piece. What's the latest fight that you've seen from One Piece? Nothing. Let us know so that we can.
Yeah, I think he's probably seen the very recent Luffy versus Lucci
Oh,
fight.
I was seeing that. I was like, I've seen all the stupid debates about like, oh, base Luffy couldn't beat base Lucci, but then base Lucci lost to like base Zoro, so base I don't know. It's like the triangle theory, bro. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like in terms of that, like you definitely have to have confidence. You definitely have to find strength, find inner strength within yourself. You don't get that from anybody else. You don't get that from the world or, any community. You can definitely find it. There's times where, I felt horrible. I felt like I can't do anything. And I need a group or I need, certain friends that can kind of help uplift me.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, when you're just talking about day to day fitting in and kind of dealing with the crowd and the people that you're surrounded with that you feel like you don't fit in with, or that are judging you or whatever social anxiety may be going on, you have to you have to find that inner strength in yourself to say, listen, this is who I am, this is how I act, this is what I do, and nothing can take that identity or that agency from me. I am who I am, and they're just going to have to accept that. And if they don't accept that, well, too bad, so sad. It's as simple as that.
Mhm.
There's nothing we can do about it. So like, it. Think about it this way. I'm sure you've all seen those videos of like Harajuku, Japan. Those like fashion videos, like people walking down the street, and it's this whole city in Japan, like a small part of this of the city in Japan,
Mhm.
where people are just dressing in the most outlandish stuff. I mean, there's some people even dressing as dragons, as vampires, as dinosaurs, Teddy, as like a triceratops. And it's normal. It's just the way that it is in this city. These people, they just have a pure expression of whatever it is that they want to be that day or their fashion. And they're unapologetically who they are. And I think that's great. I think that's a beautiful aspect of the human spirit, being able to kind of show or be basically whoever you want to be for the most part. Now,
Mhm.
nothing raises a good question here, where they ask, "What is the true self, Teddy?" How do you kind of and if we strip away all of our labels, are we really nothing? What do you think about that, Teddy? It's a loaded question, but I'll let you start us off.
Hmm. I think the true self is whoever or whatever version of you doesn't bring about any kind of inner conflict. So basically, when you're in a state of complete, um, I want to say zen almost with yourself, where everything that you say, everything that you do, all of your actions are in complete agreement with what you expect from yourself or what you think you would
Yeah.
do in certain situations. I think that's what the quote unquote true self is, right? And it's hard sometimes to tap into that when you're in an environment that where you feel the need to adapt to that environment, right? But
Yeah.
and that's why it's always hard to it's something that I try to do as much as possible, where it's like I'm still going to be myself, but I will present it in a package that is more palatable for whatever crowd I'm in, if that makes sense.
Really.
So yeah. So it's like this. For example, it's what it's an example that I like to use a lot because it's something that I feel very passionate about. Because to this day, I've only had one good um, pineapple on pizza. That was actually almost exactly 1 year ago. It was on the 10th of April last year.
How do you
Yeah.
remember that?
I,
You
I made a I
specifically
made a
remember a
point.
date?
Yeah, I made a point to remember that because it's something that I feel very strongly about. And I thought up until that day, I thought that I would never eat a pineapple like pizza with pineapple on it that I would actually enjoy. And it not only was it good, it was delicious, and it pissed me off. So I made a point to remember because it stood out to me in a major way. So, but for the most part, most pizzas with pineapple on them, I don't mess with, right?
What
So
made that pizza so good? The pizza with the pineapple.
it's because the pineapple wasn't fresh; it was cooked through within the pizza. So the texture, because usually the biggest thing for me is the texture, because you have everything on the pizza that's either like savory, greasy, and stuff, and then you have the pineapple thrown on top that's juicy and sweet, which I love pineapples, but I feel like that texture and flavor combination just doesn't work for me. But in that particular case, the pineapple was more dried up. It was seamlessly, it felt like I was eating a sweeter bell pepper almost.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, but they incorporated within the pizza so well. It was absolutely delectable. So I remember the date. I was like, I'll memorize that date, April 10th,
Dude,
2023.
what a
That's when it
delight,
happened.
dude.
Yeah. So, you know, normally if I'm hanging out with the boys, right, and they bring pineapple on pizza, I'll be
Yeah.
like, I'll be cussing, I'll be saying all kinds of stuff just to express the fact that I don't like pineapple on pizza. When I'm around, like let's say if I'm in a more professional environment, a more corporate environment, I'll probably say something like, I've never really understood the appeal of pineapple on pizza. For me personally, it's not necessarily an option, right? Like I would phrase it in a different way, but you still understand that that's not my jam.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, where it's like I don't change who I am, but how I present it is different depending on who I'm talking to or who I'm around. And I feel like part of finding your true self is being able to understand that nuance that you don't have to change who you are because of who you're around, but you can just change how you express that. But it doesn't have to be a completely different person.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that would be kind of how I look at the true self and balancing it out in
Yeah.
different
Well,
crowds.
I think that the true self is something that's always developing and it's a loaded question because nothing asked also like if we strip away all of our labels, are we really just nothing? Like are we do we have anything? Do we have anything like to ourselves that is ours apart from our labels and what we label ourselves? Or are we really just nothing apart from, if you take away the label of son, an anime lover and philosopher and this and that and, and tennis player, whatever,
Hmm.
what really do you have left? Um, but I think there are some things that are left, you
Well,
know?
you see, this is where it gets interesting because I feel like all of these labels, they're just a representation of who you are. For example, if you say you're a musician, that means that who you are as a person is someone who enjoys melodies, who enjoys creating, right? So that label in itself says something about who you are, and that's why I feel like it's they have value in themselves, but you shouldn't base your entire identity around a couple of labels,
Yeah.
right? You can say, oh, I love playing tennis, so that's who I am. I'm a tennis player, and I just, especially if that's not your profession, because if you're a professional, that's a different story because that's your bread and butter, right? So that's different. But if that just happens to be one of the facets of your personality, and even for athletes, I'm pretty sure that's not who they are. That's not their entire personality. Like, of course, that's their profession, that's their job, but at the same time, they probably have passions and hobbies and interests that define them also, or
Yeah.
personality traits, things like that. So
And you have to understand also that that you just think about the route that humanity has taken, right? In the beginning, we had really nothing. And then we learned how to make fire, we learned how to, use a stick to hit a stone, and we learned how to make arrows and hunt, and now we're at the point where we have these labels. Back in the day, the first label was like hunter gatherer. That those are the only two labels there were. And then you start bringing like the chief and the chieftain and the deputy sergeant, whatever the hell they used to have in the villages back in the day. You know, and
mhm.
now we're to the point where we have an overload of labels. You can be a soccer player, you can be, I don't know, what have you, a
Mhm.
philanthropist of art. um Now you have a lot of labels, and it can seem nowadays that labels are kind of all that life is really about. But that isn't the case, and that wasn't always the case. At some point, life was just about simply living. And that's why, as you see, there's a lot of people. I'm sure you've seen the videos of people that just kind of go and they live in nature, right? Like, because they kind of feel a release of the tension of society, of the tension of the modern age of social media. There's a lot of like social media decompression going on, where you like get off social media for a while. A lot of people like to do that. So at the end of the day, never forget the essence of humanity. You are a human, before anything. And the internet didn't exist. Even houses and things didn't exist at one point. We were just in the middle of caves and stuff. So
Mhm.
remember that at some point, these labels that we had didn't exist, but yet we still did. So never forget that. Nothing says should I skip the fillers, or are the fillers part of the charm with One Piece. What do you think, Teddy? You're a One Piece expert.
When he's probably talking about the anime, right, for the fillers.
Yeah, he's like on episode let me see,
1100.
1100.
Yeah, that's the last one that just came out. Dude, honestly, man, it just depends. If you're a manga reader like us, yes, by all means, you gotta skip the filler because we already know the story. So for me personally, I only tune in when there's something big going on, or when when I know they're about to animate something that we were really excited to see. Like for example, if you're not a manga reader, I'd say close your ears for the next 10-15 seconds. Yeah, good, exactly. Like you don't need to watch full episode, especially if you're a manga reader. But uh, like when the Gorosei pull up, yes, I'm gonna watch that episode because they're going to make that look really nice because it's a big moment in a story. So
Really?
yeah, I think any big moment you got Garp, bro, Garp, Aokiji, Kobe, all that whole situation on Full LED. I'm going to be watching every single episode
Yeah.
because that's going to be nuts. It was some of the most exciting um, plot points we had in Egghead, and that and Kuma's, oh god, Kuma's backstory, I don't know if I'm ready for that to be animated, bro.
I'm ready. My body's ready.
But the way I was choked up when especially the end of his backstory, I was like, no, no, no.
Oh, the end when he finally gets like reunited with Bonnie and like you go back
Oh
to
no, not,
present
not
time.
even that. Like the end of his backstory when,
Oh, the actual end of the story. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, when he's about to lose his consciousness and you see Vegapunk on his
Vegapunk just start
knees.
crying. I was like, bro.
Yeah, and you see just like for me, what really hit me was the imagery of Kuma running away, because it, Vegapunk was basically saying his entire life he was just going from one battlefield to the other, trying to save as many people as he could, and you see him running off into the sun. It's like Oda, don't do this to me.
And the
So
crazy, yeah, and no, man, it
yeah,
is what it is, man. I don't even want to talk about it too much. Bonnie, bro, that scene where like is just a very simple scene. I don't even remember what led up to it, but like it was when the letters weren't being sent, and she was basically saying, "No, there's no way. He didn't send me any letters all these years. That's it. I'm ready to be a pirate." And then
there's a
it just says in the quote like, and that's when Jewelry Bonnie set off to sea to become a pirate and find her father. I was like, yo, like this gave me goosebumps, bro. Just
yes,
thinking about
cook.
it.
Let
You
him
know?
cook. Listen, when I that part of the story, when I learned what Alpha was doing with the letters, I thought to myself, there is a special place in hell for her.
Oh wait, hold on, Teddy. Nothing. Never watched even one episode of One Piece. They've only watched clips.
Oh wait, so you what wow. Um oh wow. Okay, see.
But I plan to
uh
watch 1 to 2 episodes a day.
listen, man, you need if that's your experience, you need to watch everything. I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody that was like us who would watch all the pre-time skip and then you started reading the manga. If you've never watched anything, bro, you need to sit down and watch from episode 1, my brother or sister. I don't know. But
Yeah, you never know.
yeah, hey, in 2024 got to cover your tracks. They um
No,
but
I'm not trying to pull away from the main topic, but you both watched the last couple episodes of Invincible.
dude, I have not peeped season 2 yet. So
Really? You know what this show is, Teddy? What is that?
yeah, I know Invincible. I watched the first season.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the basic plot?
Well, I was telling you about it, but you didn't seem interested at all, so I
Bro,
never I
yeah,
never brought it up again.
when you tell me about a show, bro, I'm like, bro, yeah, I mean, expect me to just 1 ear out the other.
Yeah, I know. Even though it's animated and it kind of took over Twitter by storm, the first season
Really?
did. Yeah, because there was a scene that was extremely gruesome and bloody as hell that
Wow.
happened, and it got everybody hooked into the story. And the story is actually pretty good.
It's
It's
not bad.
a very nice plot twist at the end of the first season, leading into the second season.
Nice.
Um, and the second season seems to be doing okay, but nobody's really talking about it, so I don't know. But I haven't watched the second season yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will get to it. I will get to it eventually because I feel like I want to explore that.
Bro, have you ever seen these videos by Josh Too Funny?
Who's that?
This from Africa, from Nigeria, where they what happened is they'll have these auditions in Nigeria, like audition for like a talent show,
Hmm.
and then the guy will come up and let's say, for example, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm the what was it that he said? I'm the world's greatest rapper. You know, I'm the world's greatest rapper." And then they're like, "Okay, let's hear some bars then from you," you know. And then he'll say, for
Oh, is
example,
that the guy
"Yeah,
who actually has no talent, but every time he shows up to talent shows,
exactly."
that's him. Oh, okay, so I know him. I just didn't know his name.
That's the guy. Yeah, I love his videos, bro.
Oh,
By the
he's
way,
hilarious.
that
He's
rap video
hilarious.
was hilarious. Where he was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sing about something positive. I'm gonna sing about
Hey,
something
speaking
positive."
speaking of rap, man, I need your opinion on something real quick, and then we'll
Yeah.
we'll get back on topic and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the recent Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole situation?
Of course, bro.
Ah,
Of
how
course.
how do you feel about J. Cole? What he did?
Bruh. I mean, he shouldn't have done that, man. Especially so soon because it's just taken all the steam and hype out of it.
Right?
When it seemed and it didn't even seem like that serious. It just
It
seemed like
wasn't.
just a nice lyrical sparring. They could have exchanged some
Exactly. It's
words.
just competition, bro. It's for sport. That's what I've been saying.
It doesn't see. I don't know, or maybe there's some. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, there's things you don't know behind the scenes." If J. Cole would have let it rock, then millions of people would have died. There would have been at least 1 billion people on planet Earth. Teddy would have been wiped out, and I'm like, I don't know if I believe that,
I
but
don't know
like,
if it was that nuclear, man. I don't know if it was
yeah,
that serious.
yeah, dude, like freaking deadlier than a freaking disease out here. Like, come on, man.
See,
Like,
because my thing, I thought to myself, it's part of rap culture because I see people uh, kind of championing the fact that he apologized for the diss because he said he wasn't sitting right with his soul and he couldn't sleep at night. And I thought to myself, this is not that has nothing to do with being mature. It's the culture of hip hop and the rap battling where you can have back and forth with somebody that you are extremely close, like your homies, but just for the sake of competition and sport, let's see who can do the most damage lyrically, right? It doesn't have to be there doesn't need to be animosity between the rappers, right?
yeah,
But a lot of people, they're the way they're approaching the situation is that, oh, if you didn't do it, then it would create some beef or some hate between them. It's like, no, they've known each other for how long now? They respect each other and their craft. In fact, a lot of people even said it feels like Kendrick was going more so at Drake than J. Cole. Because a lot
he
of
was. He was
the
basically only going for him.
yeah, because yeah, he said, forget the big three. I'm just a big, it's just a big me, right? But all of the targeted disses that he launched, they were at Drake and his most recent album and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
like
Teddy, don't you think that they have a lot of shooters? They say they have a lot of shooters, and like
yeah,
maybe
because
not
there's
a
a first
billion,
person shooter.
maybe not a billion people would have died, but maybe like one or two, would have got shot. So J. Cole didn't want that to happen. So what he did was he had to be the bigger man or whatever. That's what some people are saying. Um,
I don't know about all that,
but I
honestly.
don't know. I don't know if it's like it was in the '90s. I don't know if like Kendrick and J. Cole and Drake really do have shooters. They claim it in their songs. You know, they talk about killing and like if they say the word, there's people that they're gonna die or whatever. But I don't know if that's true, man. I don't know if things are like that anymore.
I don't know, man. I think maybe because with social media, it almost feels like people can really have access to you at any point in time. Like you feel a lot closer to these celebrities. So I'm pretty sure they feel a certain amount of like an ease, and
Yeah,
maybe they feel unsafe to a certain degree where they probably have some shooters, man. Because if you're as big
I don't
as a
know.
Drake or Kendrick Lamar, I feel like you probably walk around with some very serious security, and some of them
Oh no,
might
they
be
definitely have security.
shooters. So
They
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
have security. I just don't know if they have like in the hood like some gang members like that they're riding with like it's
oh
like
yeah, like that.
Biggie Tupac type like oh yeah you diss me it's on site like he's about to get assassinated next week if he keeps this up. I don't think they got it
Yeah,
like that.
I don't.
You
Yeah,
know
I don't
I,
think so too. It's not good for the brand. I don't think they
it's
have it
not
like
good
that.
for the brand. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
I think J Cole is out of that though. Like honestly, the crazy thing is, I think J Cole would have won if it comes down to it lyrically. I think J Cole slightly edges it right now where he's at.
Mm, I,
But
that's interesting. You say that. I've heard a lot of people say that. they say that right now, out of the three, it feels like J. Cole has really stepped up his game lyrically recently, where he could probably be the one that to come out on top. I just think
Yeah.
that Kendrick is too crazy with the metaphors, the double, triple entendres, things like that. Like he's insane. So I don't know. It'd be tough for me to say, but yeah, I may have Cole. It's funny how we don't even entertain Drake in that conversation because it's like
Yeah,
he's not a lyricist like that.
you can't sleep on him though, because he's like
He can get sneaky, yeah,
yeah, he does have some really, I mean, and he's been doing it for so long. When you do something for so long, there's no way you suck at it, even though he has ghostwriters, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
His ghostwriters might win for him. All right, so nothing asked this. Do you think people will use the title of introvert and a weird to feed their egos but not genuinely be weird or whatever?
Mm. I see. I see what I see. I think I see what they're asking. It's like, do you think that some people they use that as a crutch
Yeah.
to justify being antisocial or not being able to function well in social settings? Yeah, I think that happens all the time. You know, the people they rely on that and they say, "Oh yeah, you know what? I can't. I'm antisocial, or I can't do this, or I can't do that because I'm an introvert, right?" And like it's like what this ongoing conversation we've had for a while now about not letting um, labels, whether real or self-assigned, define who you are, like your entire personality. So it's like that for these people where they might use that as an excuse of sorts to not be the best versions of themselves that they could possibly be. You know, I think
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
Like the thing is with letting a label define you, yeah?
Hmm.
What happens if you lose that label and it's all you are? Or not all you are, but maybe like a big portion of what you are, yeah? If it
Well,
comes
it's like this.
crumbling down, yeah.
Yeah, if it comes, I know what you're saying, and when you say that, I'm thinking particularly about one kid.
One
Your,
kid?
yeah, your favorite kid. You love him to death.
Ooh, oh no, don't even mention that.
You've defended him against me many times.
Bruh.
I'm
We're
talking
not
about
talking
Deku.
about Deku. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. Because remember, at the beginning of the story, what is he? He's quirkless, right?
He's
Which
quirkless.
is an anomaly. He stands out like a sore thumb, and still he has an aspiration to be a hero, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't let
And
that
he
stop
trains
him.
really hard.
He exactly, like he trains and he does everything that he needs to do. Is and he keeps the faith, right? That one day he'd be able to be a to be a hero like his idols. And so with that, I'm like, at what point does it stop being realistic to try and make the best of a handicap? Like at what point do you think there's a point where it's okay to just hang it up and say, you know what, I've tried my best, but there's nothing I can do about this. So
You do have to be real with yourself. At some point, like if things aren't working out, like I know some people they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a basketball player." I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. They hit like 18, 19, it doesn't happen. You're still like, "Okay, there's still time. Let's see how things go." They hit 21. All right. We're it's getting kind of late, but we can still make it. Let's see what happens this season. Then they hit 25, 26, 27, and you're like, all right, man. And they're still talking about they're gonna be a basketball player. You're like, all right, man. You gotta chill out. Like you gotta,
it's like some people trying to have a rap career when they can't really rap like that.
yeah,
I ain't gonna say
exactly.
no names. Yeah.
Like if you yeah, exactly. Like if you know that things aren't working out, you see it. You gotta be real with yourself. And the thing is with labels like and dreams, like they can't be your only defining factor. There's tons of people that you see if they lose their label, they kind of seem to lose themselves.
Hmm.
You have to not you have to let that not be the case. I know we've heard stories of like I know people who are like very anti-trans say this a lot. They're like, oh, look at all the trans people that end up killing themselves like later on in life because they regret their decisions. Well, the thing is, like with that, like if you're trans, for example, letting that not be your only defining factor as a human being could be definitely beneficial to you. For anybody who's like young and teetering on the lines of like gender identity, I know it can be a bit of a struggle, but don't neglect other aspects of your life. Think about every single aspect of yourself, and don't hinder yourself. Even though I know it is a tough time, there's a lot of stuff going in your mind when you're young, and even when you're old, man. You know, there's a lot of like a lot of not labels, but like stigmas put on like the youth. Like when you're in your teens, you're supposed to act this way, and you're supposed to be a mess and a wreck. And then when you're an adult, that's when things get better. Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of like people 20s, 30s that are still figuring things out as well. And I feel like life is a process of figuring things out. So you never have to really feel like you have to fit in now and you have to succeed now in order to fit in and be a successful person who's accepted and loved and revered by everyone, you know?
Hmm. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have one last question for you, which is going to lead into a bigger conversation that we're going to have at another time because I feel like it's a topic in and of itself. But I feel like it kind of ties to what we talked about today. Um, oh, and also nothing just talked about Freeran. I've watched that entire season. It was fire. So, but I ain't gonna talk about it right now because that's a different conversation. So, my question to you, right, is this: if you're about to have a kid that you knew would be born with a deficiency, would you let it be born?
With the deficiency.
So like I'm thinking because we just talked about Deku, right? And how he was born without a quirk. I'm pretty sure that they knew in the womb before he was born that he was gonna, or maybe they didn't know, but let's assume that they did, right? It's like, oh, I know my kid is going to have a disadvantage uh, when he's born, and it's going to be an uphill battle his entire life. Do you still have the kid on the options that you're still going to be able to manage it or not?
Hmm. I mean, in this hypothetical world where it's only my choice, because of course, like when you're having a kid in real life, like it's not just your choice. You have a partner and everything that has just as much of a say as you do. If it's just my choice, it obviously depends on the deficiency.
Hmm.
But if it's something super severe where I know they're going to be suffering, I'd rather not. I'd honestly rather not.
Yeah.
Just me straight up, flat out, right now. Like with the way I think now, I just think I'd rather not.
I mean, some people would consider that murder, but I'm thinking about that child's existence. I would be responsible for bringing because I never want to be in a situation where the kid asks me, "Why did you decide to give birth to me?
Yeah.
Why was I born with this disadvantage compared to everybody else?" So yeah, it's a tough conversation to have. I feel like we could probably delve into it even more on a
Yeah,
different occasion.
we
But
could have
mhm.
an even we could honestly do a whole podcast on like um abortion versus infanticide. Is
Oh
there a
yeah,
difference? Is there a difference
hmm, ooh,
between
that's a
those
good one.
things? You
That's a
know,
good
is
one.
is because I know and this is the thing that we're all about on this channel. We touch on the topics that a lot of people.
Oh,
What?
I just realized something, and oh, God, my brain is going 100 miles an hour right now. It's one of the reasons why Horikoshi Kohei, the author of My Hero, he frustrates me so much because he has so many um, interesting plot lines. He had like his story has so much potential, but he never capitalizes on it. You remember Himiko Toga, the girl that sucks people's blood and she can transform into them?
Yeah.
Apparently, that's her form of showing love. Like how she expresses her
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
for people is by sucking the blood. It's not something that she wants. She doesn't want to be a villain, but society has categorized her in that classification of villain because the way she expresses her love is considered wrong, even though that's like she doesn't mean ill by it. That's just how she is, right? It's so beautiful, and it's somebody. It's a character I've wanted to talk about more because I feel like it's a representation of how you can be in real life too, where there's certain ways about yourself where you didn't choose to be that way, but you get ostracized as a result, right? But yeah.
Yeah. And nothing continues asking, if I know my kid was going to disobey everything I stand for, would I still have this child? Would you still have this child? I mean, listen, if I know, listen, the kid is not going to disobey me for anything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shoot.
That kid, if I have a kid, that kid is subjugated under the law.
Oh,
The
Raven
law,
said he's whipping out the belt.
the law of my household. You know what I'm saying? It is what it
Mm.
is, man. And this is the thing. A lot of people say, "Oh no, that's child abuse." No, nobody mentioned anything about abuse. You have to get your mind out of the goddamn out of the jail cell. You know, we're not talking about abuse. We're talking about discipline and leadership. Leadership is more important than anything. You have to be a good leader, um, and show the kids the way. Show the youth, the next generation coming up. Nothing said me being black. Would I still have this child? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, the belt. Me being black, the belt. Yeah, I guess. I guess that is something that happens in uh in a black household. I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
But
you get whooped proper.
really, is the belt the weapon of choice?
Honestly, whatever is within hand's reach, really.
Yeah, that's the way my mom was. My mom is black, and
If
she
it's the
used to.
broom, it's the broom. If it's the chair, hey, we going WWE, baby.
Good on Teddy. Nothing says good on you, Teddy. So hey, man,
Hey,
nothing's giving you your props.
I guess I'm doing something right. She.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, it seems like we hit a lot. We hit much more than even the main topic. We went all over the place, but it was
We
great.
did.
I hope it was interesting. We had 2 viewers. Nothing was one of them. I have no idea who the other viewer was, but thank you for checking us out
Mhm.
and sticking with us through the entire stream. Make sure to leave a like and a comment, and maybe even subscribe if you feel so inclined to do so.
Mhm.
We uh we are wrapping this up, and I guess we'll see you next week for sure around this day. Definitely Thursdays are our day.
But yeah,
Schedules are more consistent now that like I'm getting settled into like this new job and everything, and we have some cool topics coming out. I guess next week we might go hard and hit that abortion infanticide topic.
it might be time, baby.
Might be time to do that. So we'll see how things go, you guys. Let us know how nothing. It's 1:25 p.m. for where nothing is at.
Yeah,
Where
I
are
think
you at, nothing?
he's in Asia
He's in
because the
Asia.
because the name he has like Chinese characters in there. So I
Really?
think I think he's either in China or I mean I don't know. I don't want to assume, but I don't know. I don't know
Well,
where.
nothing hit you with the bruh
Hey,
emoji.
listen, I don't know, man.
The
Oh,
Caribbean.
Caribbean. Hey, listen, my fault. See, you can't judge a book by its cover. I messed up. Hey, appreciate you stopping by, brother. That's
Hey,
my
man.
fault.
Yeah. So we'll catch you on the next one. Nothing. Thanks for the continued support, man. We
It's greatly appreciated, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. You've been one of our day one subscribers, and you're always commenting. We always appreciate that. We always love reading your comments and replying.
Mhm.
Trinidad. Holy crap, Trinidad. Okay, Trinidad in the
Wow.
house.
Okay.
It's time, man. It's
And we're
time.
going international, baby. Mr.
Nice.
05. But
So
yeah.
yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one and peace.
Peace.